I think we're going to go ahead and get started today.
Okay.
Just wanted to remind you that this session is being recorded. So if you want to keep your microphones and video off, it'll make a nice clean recording that we can use in our library for our attendees. We're really happy today to have Libby Berry with us from Constellation One, who is the parent company behind Paradym. Paradym is a wonderful tool that we've used for a number of years, and we're really excited to have some training on it today. This is one of two sessions that we'll have on Paradym. This is going to focus on the video side of Paradym, and then in a future class that you can find on your training blitz schedule, we'll also cover Reach Social, which is the second part of Paradym. Just as a reminder, you can access Paradym at any time through rwtconnect.com. There is a Paradym button right under Marketing and Productivity Tools. If for whatever reason it gives you a little error that says it can't connect you, rest assured that email notification of that error goes to our web support team, and they'll hop right on and get that connection fixed for you. Otherwise, you should be able to click that Paradym button on rwtconnect.com and go straight on through to your Paradym account to get started. So welcome, Libby Berry. We're excited to have you here. Feel free to take the floor.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. I'm just going to share from my account in Paradym. We all have our little test accounts. So I'm just going to share that just to kind of make it a little bit easier. And I'll show you how you can go through and you can build your visual tours and the features that they have, and then how to set some defaults up as well. So when you log in, and let me go ahead and get that shared here really quickly. So when you log in to Paradym, you're going to go to one of two places, depending on your preferences. It will either take you to your dashboard or it will take you to your My Tours. So if it does take you to your dashboard and you're wanting to see your tours, just click on your name in that top right corner and then click on My Tours in the drop-down menu, and that will take you to the page where any of your tours will be stored. So we never delete tours. If you reach out to us and ask us to delete one for you, we can, but we never delete them. When they are no longer active, it will flip to sold, or you can place it in off market or pending. But we don't ever remove them. They all do stay here stored, so you have access to them in the future if you ever want to share them out for any reason. Now, as far as building a tour manually, you would click up here in the top right corner on the plus sign, and that will take you to a page where you will have a few different options. Your main option is going to be the property tour. That is the one that gets used most of the time, and when we are creating a tour automatically for you, excuse me, that is going to be the option that our system uses. The property tour will let you You'll have options to share out to your social media, and it will do a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly pattern. It is the only one that does the repeated posting. So if you want to have that go out on that repeated schedule, you want to make sure you're using the property tour. So in the middle of that top row, you have your buyer tour, and that is going to look very similar to the property tour. The main difference with the buyer tour is that they do not go out automatically anywhere. So it's a great option if you want to build something for a specific buyer. You can build it there and then send it to them directly. You can still manually share a buyer tour out to your social media. They just aren't going to go out automatically. You have your neighborhood tour. So if you wanted to build something that is not property specific, maybe you get listings in a specific area more frequently, you can use that neighborhood tour and build something that just focuses on the features of that specific neighborhood. And that way you can just send them the neighborhood tour along with the property if you wish. And then the bottom row, you have your community events. So if you do get involved with events in the community, you want to kind of highlight those, maybe get some more exposure for something, you can build it there and share that out. You have your agent office promo. So if you wanted to maybe make like a short video, just let people kind of get to know you a little bit better, maybe talk about your office, you can build that there. With any of these, you can have pretty much an unlimited number of photos on a tour. The video is, however, capped at 6 minutes or 500 megabytes. So if you did want to do a short video like that, just keep it under that time frame and you would be good. And then you have your testimonial, so you can create a tour for a testimonial that you've received, even other testimonials. maybe you have them on other websites, you can always take like a screenshot and then load it in as a photo just to get that information out. Your neighborhood tour, your community event, agent office promo, and testimonials, those all share automatically one time to your social media that you connect. And then they won't go out again unless you manually share them. So I am going to just put in an example tour. So when you're building a tour, all you have to do is click on the property tour, type in whatever you want, and I'm just going to just name this one example tour. You don't have to put anything else in here at this step if you don't wish to. So if you want to come back to it, you always can. If you want to fill in everything now, you can. But all it requires is the title, and then it will take you to the page where you can add your photos. And so you'll just choose which photos you want to use and then load them in. And then hit done, and that will bring you to what we call the tour dashboard. And one thing I always like to point out at this step is you're going to see this yellow bar across the top that says this tour is in draft mode. It will automatically publish on, and it gives a date and time. If you're building a tour manually, always look for that yellow bar. That way, if you know you're going to work on it a little bit now and then come back to it later, it doesn't automatically activate and start sharing out to your social media. You can click the change here in parentheses, and that will take you to a page that will let you either just add some hours. If you want it to automatically publish maybe in 24 hours, you can do that. Or if you want to set it to manually publish, you can click on that, which is what I'm doing here. And then when you save it, you're still going to have that yellow bar across the top, but now it's just going to have the publish button. So when you are finished with it, whether that is later tonight or tomorrow, you can just hit publish when you're done. So now
Libby,
you'll notice, yes.
Can I jump in here real quick for you?
Sure.
I wanted to make sure everybody is reminded too, we do have an automatic feed from RWT Connect to Paradym of all of your listings. So you can build as many as you need to in manual mode, but do know that the first time you log in, you should see all of your active listings in that dashboard, because we're automatically sending those from RWT Connect over to Paradym as well. Just wanted to make sure you happen to have that in there.
Yes. So yes, in most cases, we will receive those automatically, but if there's ever anything you want to build, especially with those other tour types, always feel welcome to. If you ever have any questions on how to build any of them or want more personalized a walkthrough, we are happy to schedule that with you as well. One thing you'll notice is the photos that I added in, it did automatically choose a photo up here for the cover photo. If you ever want to change that photo, you'll just look for the photo that you want to be that cover photo and then just click make cover next to that. And that will change that out. So that way, if you want to make sure it's that front of house or overhead photo that you might prefer, you can change it there. So now we're going to go down this list here on the left side of the page. The first section here is the property tour section, and you'll have two links. You'll have details and amenities. Now, the details link will typically auto-populate with all of the information that you have on your MLS when we receive the listing automatically. You can always come in here and edit things. The main thing in here that does not auto-populate, and I always like to point this out, is down here in this details section. If you go to the bottom, you have an open house date and time. So if you do have an open house scheduled, you can always come in here and add that into your visual tour as well. And then when you have any changes you make, just make sure you're always hitting that save button. The next link in this section is the amenities, and that is just check boxes for home and community features. So that does not auto-populate, but if you ever wanted to add these in, you can always come in here and choose the ones you have associated with that property, and then just save it once you have those selected. The next section here is your scenes, and that is going to be your photos and video. And we will receive whatever photos and information you have on that listing when it comes over. But if you do want to add extra photos in, you can just come in here to this add scene link, and you can add that in. And the same applies with the photo and video that I was mentioning earlier. The video is capped at 6 minutes or 500 megabytes. You can do either one longer video if you want, or you can break that up into several smaller videos as long as it doesn't exceed that 6 minute, 500 megabyte limits. You have the Create Panoramic. So I know most people now just use their phones or cameras to do panoramic photos, but if you do have some photos that you think would work well to stitch together to make a panoramic, you can come in here and just click on this Create Panoramic link here, and then it will take you through the steps to add in the photos that you want to stitch together and stitch them together. And then the last link in this section is the rearrange option, and that is going to be just a simple drag and drop option to rearrange what order those photos are appearing in so you can move them around however you prefer them to be. And now while we're on the scenes, out to the right of each of the photos, you will see there are links there as well. So the details link is where you can add in things like a caption or a description to each of your photos if you wish. And then you will see there is a section down at the bottom. So if you wanted the photos to linger a little bit longer than the 5 seconds it defaults to, you can always change that here. And if you wanted to change all of your photos at one time, just make sure you hit this little button over here to the right, and that will copy that setting to all of your photos. So you don't have to go into each individual photo and change it there. Now you also have some editing options. Um, there's just some basic options in here to help you have your photos look the way you want them to look. So you're rotating, you're flipping, some slight adjustments, things like color brightness, and then there is also the enhancements and cropping options. So if you wanted to make any of those changes, you can just make sure you hit save when you finish making the edits that you prefer. Now we are going to go down to the options section here on the left side. And this is where you can kind of add in some of those extra features. So things like your voice narration. So your auto voice narration, you have two different styles and you have 11 different voices you can choose from. So the two different styles you have are tour and scenes. So with tour, you can have all of your narration right at the beginning of that visual tour. Once it finishes, it will just have the music in the background. With scenes, you can actually put in narration on each individual photo. So if you wanted to do an overview on the front of house and then maybe talk about each individual room, you can do that and go through it and save it on each of them. So that way you have specific narration lined up with each photo that you prefer. So we are going to skip 3D model for now. That has actually moved. So we're going to come back around to that in just a moment. So the next thing down is the music. And there are over 100 options in here that you can choose from for music. So you can always come in here and listen to those, preview them, see which one you like the best. Then once you have that, you just hit save. You also have the option of importing music. So if you have music that you have the rights to use, you can import those in here. Just be careful about adding something that has a copyright on it that you don't have the rights to use because a lot of the social media platforms will quickly strike that down and you don't want to lose your social media pages. So the next thing down here in the options is the skin. And the skin, there are two different viewers for your tour. So you can use Fusion, which is kind of like your straightforward option. It takes you straight to that visual tour. All you have to do is hit play when people are using Fusion. Property site does have a little bit more click through. It does open up to a splash page. I will show you that here. And the splash page will just shuffle through a few of the photos, but you will see down at the bottom there is a circle with an arrow that points down. So you can either click on that or you can just scroll down, and that will take you to a section that will say take a look around and give you the option of looking at the gallery of photos, or you can click on visual tour, and that will take you to your tour so that people can see it. So it does require a little bit more click through, but it is also a little bit more customizable. So it's more of a website type of layout. So you have either option, whichever you prefer. The next thing in the options section here are the signs, and the signs are very small signs that will appear in the bottom right corner of the tour as it plays. So whatever sign you choose will stay on that tour the entire time it plays. And you do have quite a few options in here. So you've got your standard things like your sold sale pending, there's a price reduced, things like that. And then you have things like your feature signs. If you want to make sure they know that it has a water view or that it's in a gated community, you have those as well. So you can come in here and look through these and pick whatever applies or what you want to apply for that property, and then just save it, and that will lock that in for you. So the next thing down in the options is the language, and the language is just for the menus on the visual tour. So it will not change anything that you've added into your descriptions. But if you wanted to have a visual tour in Spanish instead of English, you can always come in here and choose that here. And then if you have a tour that may, or a property that may be in a place that is very heavily bilingual, if you want to have a copy of that tour so you can have one in English and one in Spanish, just reach out to us. We can make a copy of it. And then you can always edit the other tour so you have one in each. Um, Definitely feel welcome to keep that in mind and reach out to us if you do have a need for that. Now, the next thing down here in the options is the additional content. And this is actually where that 3D model has been moved. So the additional content has a few different things in here that you can take advantage of. So you'll see up here there is a plus sign. If you click on it, it's going to open up and you have your 3D model, video, document, or link. So if you have a 3D model from a place like Matterport or a similar location, you can just grab that URL for that 3D model and put it in here, and we will host that alongside of your visual tour. And the same with a video. If you have maybe a longer video that you don't want to put into the scenes because it is too long to exceed that 6-minute mark, you can always put it in here. The videos here are typically going to be hosted on other websites like YouTube or Vimeo, and then you'll just get the URL and put it in here. So since we're not the one actually hosting it, it can get a little bit longer here. And then you have your documents. So if you have anything like disclosures or appraisals or anything similar to that that you wanted to add in, you can add that here. And that way people can access those while they're viewing that visual tour. And then the link can be whatever information you want. So if you have maybe a link to the school district, or maybe the property is in a historical area and you want to share some history about that area, you can add whatever kind of link you think would be helpful or interesting for people to find out about that property. Now we are going to go down to the marketing section here. And these are going to be additional ways you can get that visual tour out to people. So the first thing here is your real estate distribution. And that is going to be additional sites that you can set up to have your visual tour go out. And we'll actually go over that a little bit more here when we go to the default section. But this is where you'll be able to go to see if it was shared out to those sites. And you can also reinitiate it if it hasn't. The next thing in the marketing section is social media campaign, and that is going to be where you can see when this property has shared out to your social media, any connected social media platforms you have, and the next time it's going to share. It will typically hold the entire history, so it will show you the time from the time that property went active until at least the next scheduled. Now, if you have opted to try to share it a little bit more often, you may see more posts in the future, but you're going to definitely see that next time it's going to go out in here. Now, right below that is a really handy feature that we have called Link Builder. And Link Builder is a step-by-step process that you can go through. So you can build anything from an HTML code or a URL. You can even generate a QR code for the property. But all you do is come in here and you kind of follow through these steps. So for example, I'm just going to do this specific tour. And then the next step, if I wanted to add it to my website, I would just leave it on my website. And then the third step will let you choose how you want it to look when it's placed on your website. So you can choose which option here that you want and then hit next. Then you can choose how much branding you want to include and then hit next. And then that final step is going to give you a full HTML code that you can then copy and paste onto your website. And then if you decide you want to put something else on here, you can just restart the process from the beginning. So then if you wanted a link for an email, you can do the same thing there. It's not going to give you the appearance option because you're just getting a link, but you can pick how much branding. And then the last will give you that full URL that you can then paste into your email. And one other option on here that I do like to mention to people is the option for a showcase. So if you have multiple listings that are active and you want to send someone a link that has your full property inventory, so all of your active listings, you can do My Showcase, and it will take you through the process. So you can choose the website, you can do it as an email or a QR code, and then you can choose to do all of your active listings, or if you have community tours. So you have a few different options in here for that as well. And then it will give you that full link to your property inventory. So it's just a way, an easy way for you to get all of your listings out to someone. So now we are going to go back to that marketing section, and the next thing down in it are your share buttons. And this is just where it makes it very easy for you to share out to any connected social media that you have. And as I mentioned when we were in the social media campaign, you may have something going out even a little more frequently than the weekly that we default to. Um, Now, the way you do that is if you have it already going out, say, every Saturday, and you want it to go out a little bit more frequently, you can just come in here, click on the share buttons here. Um, you can schedule it to go out on whatever day you want it to go out on. So if you wanted it to go out also on a Wednesday, you can schedule it for Wednesday, and then your post will go out that Saturday and that Wednesday. And you can do that with pretty much any of these. Now, the last button here is the little envelope, and that is an e-card. So if you wanted to send it to someone as an e-card for them to look at it, that's just a nice, clean way of getting that out to them. You would just put their email address in the first field, your email address in the second field, and whatever you wish to say to them. If you ever want to see what that looks like, you can always send it to yourself by putting your email address there as well. Now, I do like to offer one word of caution with the e-card. Uh, you can use the e-cards in a blast if you'd like. I just suggest that if you do that, send it to yourself and then forward it out. I say that from experience. We did have someone several years ago who tried to put in over 200 email addresses in here, and it did not work out so well. It is built for multiple email addresses, just not um, the number that you would typically use in a thing like a blast. So if you do want to use it in a blast, definitely forward it to yourself and then send it out. So the next thing down in the marketing section is Flyer Builder and Download. These two links actually work together. So Flyer Builder, you will go in here and you can pick which flyer you want. There are several different templates in here that you can choose from. So once you choose the one you like the best, you just select it and it will default to using that template for this property. You can still change the color option. So if you don't want the color that we already have on here, you can edit that. And the same with the text, you can edit the text colors. Now, typically, this is going to automatically fill with whatever you have on your property details that come over from your MLS listing. So you can change that if you want it to say something different. You do not have to leave it with what automatically fills. You can edit any of this to have it exactly how you want that to look and read. It is also going to automatically default to specific 5 photos in here, but if you had more than 5 photos on that visual tour, you will have those available down here, so you can switch those out. So that way you have whatever description you want, whatever colors you want, and whatever photos you want in that flyer. Now you can always preview the flyer once you have it set, and it will show you what it looks like here. And you will see there is a QR code here, so you don't have to worry about adding that into your flyer. And it also has your link to the visual tour here. So if somebody just wanted to type that in, they can get to your full visual tour that way as well. So once you have everything the way you want, you just hit save there. And then To print it out, you will hit that download link that is right next to Flyer Builder in that marketing section, and that will download it as a PDF, so that way it makes it very easy for you to print that out. So the next thing down in the marketing section is your leads link, and this will be any leads that we've received about this specific property. So you will always be able to see that history here. This will be empty um, right now, but it will tell you new leads are on the way. Now, if you had leads, they would be listed out here. Next thing down in the marketing section is mobile target lead capture, and this is our text code service. This is a free service that you can activate on your listings, and it will let you do a text code, a voice code, or a text voice bundle. I recommend either the text code or the text voice bundle. Most people are going to use the text option, but if you want to make it a little bit more accessible, you can definitely use that bundle option. It will give you some optional sign writers that you can download so that if you want to print those out or have those printed by someone, you can have those added to your sign at a property. Another good option for these text codes, when they go over a little bit more of the social media in your next call, if you are connecting, say, Instagram, you can use these in the verbiage on Instagram because Instagram does not like to use a lot of live links. Um, so if you use these in conjunction with posts on Instagram, or even if you wish to manually share something out to a place like TikTok or stories or reels or things like that, you can put these in the description. And then what happens with the text code is if someone texts that in, they're going to receive a text back that has a link to that full visual tour so they can see everything on that full visual tour. It is automatically going to grab their phone number and grab that as a lead for you. So it's just a very easy way to grab a lead. That way you can reach out to them and see what they are interested in and how you can help them. So if you are assigning a text code, all you do is go through that and then activate it, and it will give you it will give you the text code here. It will tell you up at the top the information as far as what number to text and where to send it to, and if it is a voice, what number to call and the text code or the voice code, excuse me. And then later on, if you didn't select any sign writers, then you can always go to add-ons and select your sign writers here and then save them. And then once you hit save, it brings you back out to the example tour, and we will go down to the next thing is the order print materials. Now, order print materials is just a link to Express Docs. So if you have an Express Docs account, it's just a way to very easily connect up to them to share content back and forth. Now, down the next section down is the videos, and this is where any preview videos, or if you have a YouTube channel connected, where your YouTube video will also be connected. So you would see those stored here. If you ever want to reshare them or share them out to another place, they will also have these same share buttons listed with those videos. So that way you can get those shared out to other platforms as well. I'm just going to create one here just so you can kind of see it when we come back to this section here in a moment. The next thing down is your analytics. Now, the analytics will show you a breakdown of the views that you're receiving by month and by week. You can see it by graph view or data view. But one of the best things I think about this feature is up here in this top right, you've got two buttons. You've got print and email. In that email button, you have two options. You have the option to send an email now. So if you just want to get the analytics sent to you right away, you can do that. However, there is also that schedule a weekly email. Now, it is going to be grayed out because this is not an active listing. However, if this were active, you would have the option to click on this. You can pick a day of the week that you want to receive the analytics for this property, and then every week on that day, you're going to automatically get an email with the analytics for that property. So you can either have that sent to you directly. You can also put in more than one recipient. So if you wanted to include the seller on it, you can have it sent to them as well. A lot of agents I've encountered like to have it sent to them first and then forward it out. But that way you can get that every week and then keep them apprised of the the analytics, the views and such you're getting on that property. So now we're going to come back to the example tour and you'll see the preview video did go ahead and generate, so you can see how that looks now. So if you ever want to see the preview video, you can always go in and view it, see what it looks like, and then you can share it out to your social media using those share buttons. So now we will go down to the More section at the bottom, and you've got two links there. You have Resend New Tour Email and Download Media. So Resend New Tour Email is the email you're going to receive anytime you have a visual tour go active. That email is going to have things like your branded and unbranded links in it, so that if you wanted to share that out to other places or use one of those links to add to your MLS listing, wherever you want to use those links, you will have easy access through that email. And there is just going to be some other helpful information in that email again. So it's always a good email to look for. And then download media will download all the photos and video that you have on that visual tour. It will download those into a zip file. So whether you're moving to a different computer or maybe you had a listing that you thought was done, so you remove the photos from that computer that you're currently using and you need to get them back, just come in here, hit the download media, and that will download those photos for you. So that is the gist of the creating the visual tour. I want to show you though where you can set defaults up for your visual tour. So if you click on your name in the top right corner and go to settings, you're going to see a section over here on the left side that says tour. And this is where you can set your default options. So things like your flyer, if you decide you have a specific flyer template that you prefer, you can go in here and you can select which one you like the best and save it, and it will automatically choose that flyer on any future visual tours. You can still change it on the tour level, so you're not required to use it, but it just makes it a little bit easier for you if that's your favorite. And the same at the bottom of that, you'll have your voice narration. And this is going to be the easiest place to come uh, to listen to the different voices that we have. You can go through and preview them, and whichever one you like the best, you can set that as your default and save that setting. So now we'll go through the other things here in this tour section. You have your showcase, and this is where if you decide you want to use a showcase for your listings for to show all of your active listings or something similar, you can come in here and you can set these preferences here. So whatever you want to be as your default, just select that down here. So if you want it to always be your active listings, just make sure that's chosen, and then you can hit save there, and that will lock that in. Now, right below that in the tour section is your publishing. And your publishing is where you can choose your photo quality. So if you do have a lot of high resolution photos and you want to switch it out to that high, better quality, you always have that option here. And then if you'll remember that yellow bar that I talked about at the beginning of the tour creation training, where it showed the date and time that that tour would go active, this is where you can determine the default for that. So mine is set for 2 hours. You can do anything as small as 30 minutes, which is our standard default, and then all the way up to 48 hours. You also have the option to choose publish manually. So if you always want your tours to wait for you to come in and and approve them, you can do publish manually. Just keep in mind that if you do choose publish manually, that you will always have to come in here and hit that publish button, or it will not start going out to your social media. It will stay in that draft mode until you hit it. So the next thing down here is the video. And the video sections here, you have your YouTube option. So they may go over this more again tomorrow, but I like to just kind of touch on it a little bit. Your YouTube option is a bit different than our full visual tours. Now, right now I have mine set a little bit differently, but your standard is going to be a 16 1 minute or a 24 scene 3 minute video. And it defaults to the 16 1 minute. And that's just because people have a much shorter attention span with YouTube than they do other places. So if you want to increase that to the 24 scene 3 minute video, you definitely have that option. They are also going to have a link in the description on YouTube that will take them to the full visual tour. So they will be able to see that full visual tour. This is just going to be that YouTube video itself. And if there's ever a need that you Want something larger, you can reach out to us and we can increase it. Um, but we do typically encourage people to stick to one of those two, just because of the patterns that we've seen with YouTube. Down at the bottom, you have your preview video, and that was that little short teaser video that I kind of pulled up there at the end of the tour creation part. The teaser videos are great if you want to use them with places like TikTok or stories and reels because they are so small and short. They're easily downloadable. When you have them enabled, you can opt to have a email download link sent to you, so that way you can download it and start sharing it out wherever you want it to go. So all you want to do is make sure these two check boxes are checked if you wish to use them. Um, and if you have any questions about those, always feel welcome to reach out to us. We are happy to go over those in more detail as well. So the next thing down here is your viewer settings. And the viewer settings are a little bit different here because you do have the sign and the additional content as well here. So first of all, you can choose which viewer you want to be your default. So it is set right now on mine as, excuse me, as a as Fusion. Now, your broker may have it locked in for one or the other to be your default. You can still change it on the tour level, though, even if that's the case. But I really like to focus here on the sign and the additional content. So you will have the same sign options that you had on the tour level. The thing I like to caution people here is anything you put in the viewer settings are going to appear on every visual tour. So you don't want to have a sold sign in here because it will put it on your active listings as well. So make sure that anything you're choosing here, whether it's in the sign section or the additional content section, make sure that it is not property specific. So that way you're not going to have, say, a Matterport for one property going out on all of your properties. Um, you can come in here and you can add in whatever you need. So like a link maybe to a lender that you'd like to work with. Just make sure that anything you add to this section is not property specific. So the next thing down here in the tour section is your real estate distribution. And that is those additional sites outside of your social media that we can try to distribute to. So you can always come in here if you know you have membership with any of these. You can just click on the plus signs next to them and get them connected. And then we will share out your visual tours to those as well. And the last thing in this tour section here is where it says SEO, and that's your search engine optimization settings. And that is where you can add in a link to your website. So if you want to try to help increase traffic back to the site you have your listings on, you can add that in here and then save it. And that way it kind of gets you a little bit more exposure. So that is really the main things as far as building those tours and editing the tours. Does anyone have any questions that I can help with?
Haven't seen any questions from the gallery yet. If you have anything, you can certainly raise your hand or put it in chat. We're happy to answer any questions you have at this time. This has been a really informative session, Libby. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Happy to help.
Are there any questions at all? It looks like we might be good to go. This was great.